Peace. This is Hatem with the Self-Mastery Coaching Session. I am back. After a couple of days, I've been thinking about this piece that I'm going to do because I wanted to extend a little bit on the personal ancestors. And it's important that we realize the importance of ancestors and especially our personal ancestors in self-mastery because, like I said before, they help shape who we are. Their energy is stored in our unconscious and our subconscious. And by being aware of this, it gives us the ability to plug into that power and use it in our lives. And also to prepare for some of the pitfalls and traps that have been set in our unconscious and our subconscious mind by our ancestors. But what I wanted to do was share a story with you because, of course, in self mastery, stories are very important. Stories, legends, and myths because they help us by laying out a roadmap, a blueprint that helps us move from one level of life to another. So, if you would, bear with me for a minute. I meditate a lot, and especially in the bathtub. I'm a Pisces, so if you have questions about that and my meditation methods, hit me up. But as I was sitting in the tub one day soaking, um, a spirit came to me, and the spirit didn't necessarily speak, but I knew, or I felt, or I heard in my mind what the spirit was saying. And the spirit presented me with a question. Now, usually I'm expecting answers, but this spirit presented me with a question, and the question went like this: why is it that your ancestors can't or don't help you and your people the way that other people's ancestors helped them? Now, in my ignorance, I was thinking that my ancestors were helping me. And obviously, the spirit picked up on this thought and said, they are helping you, but they're not helping you to the extent to which they could. Your ancestors are not helping you because they are starving, is what the spirit said to me. And I was kind of lost. I said, well, I mean, we pour libations, but the spirit interrupted the thought. And it basically told me that libations are sporadic and asked me, why do you think your ancestors built all the monuments and had holy days for the ancestors? Because your ancestors feed off the energy that you send them. You always have to remember that for us as African people, as traditional people, hell for us was not fire and brimstone, but hell for us was being forgotten by the generations that came after us. Because if they forgot us, that meant we did not do what we were supposed to do. So, in a sense, we have condemned our personal ancestors and our ancestors, in a sense, to a hell or a purgatory state because we are not showing them the love that they deserve. Now, the next question that came from the spirit, because now it's asking me questions. And of course, when you really look at self mastery, it's all about asking questions. The question came to me: where is the ancestor worship capital of the world? So I thought about this question and I said, Nigeria, no. Brazil, no. Ghana, no. Senegal, no. The spirit said to me so clear that the ancestor worshiping capital of the world is Washington, D.C. I said, what? Are you kidding me? Washington, D.C.? You mean to tell me that Europeans engage in ancestor veneration? And then the ancestor showed me images that were in the back of my mind of trips that I took to Washington, D.C., and how I marveled at the statues and the monuments. Think about all the monuments that are in Washington, D.C. that goes to uplift their ancestors. And every time we go to these buildings and every time we go to these monuments and we marvel at them, we feed these ancestors or their ancestors, the ancestors that oppressed us. We feed them our ashe. Think about that. Our energy, our very life energy is going to feed the ancestors of those who oppressed us. And then the Spirit asks me, where is our monuments? Where are our holidays? And I shamefully had to say, I don't know. I don't know. So for the self-mastery piece here, let me say this. One of the things that we definitely do is we try to plug into the whole life cycle and understand the whole life cycle. And let me explain this life cycle to you. The life cycle is very simple. It starts before birth because we pour libations for those that yet to be born. We move through the children. We remember the teenagers and the preteens. Then we go into warriors, nation builders, and elders. But this last one scares us because it deals with this concept of death that we didn't fear prior to coming here. Prior to the incursion, we didn't have a fear of death because we understood that that was part of the life cycle. And the ancestors is the last step in that life cycle. But they're part of the life cycle. And by us ignoring our ancestors, we starve them and they can't help us. And I can only wonder how much power would be unleashed if we was able in our personal lives first to start erecting monuments for our personal ancestors, having those pictures, telling those stories, feeding that energy, giving them that ashe. How could they help us? And as a community and as a group, if we was to put our money, our blood, sweat, and our tears, and we purchase the land and we start building our monuments for them, how much more powerful would they be? And how much more would they help us in our life? And how much more of the madness and the craziness will we be able to root out of our unconscious and subconscious mind? Because what happens to a segment of the population when it's ignored? And we have to realize that our ancestors is part of our life cycle. They're part of our family, and we are ignoring them. This has been our Tim with the self-mastery session for the day. If you have any questions, comments, please hit me up. You could Google me. If you're looking at this, more than likely you got my email address. And with that, I say peace.